Well, earlier on, I spoke to Brad Bowman. He's Senior Director of the Centre on Military and Political Power at the Foundation for Defence of Democracies. And I asked him what he made of NATO's response to the missile incident in Poland.
You know, in the initial hours, there was a lot of heated rhetoric and suggestions about how Washington and our allies in Europe should respond. I think the right move was to take a deep breath, gather facts, and consult with allies. And that's exactly what the Biden administration and its NATO allies did. And it's a good thing we did, because as is often the case in war, the first reports are not accurate. And if we had responded based on initial conjecture, we could have had a big mistake with far-reaching consequences. So for my part, I would applaud the Biden administration and NATO as an alliance and how they've responded. This could have been a dramatic escalation and expansion in the war. And because cooler heads prevailed and it was dealt with responsibly and maturely, additional crisis has been averted for now.
This was, of course, a tragic incident, 2 innocent people killed, but arguably, when you're so close to an active conflict zone, things like this, runs the risk of happening. Do you think we'll see more of the same as this war continues?
I hope not, but I do worry that that might be the case. You know, any course of action here following Putin's unprovoked invasion of Ukraine has some risk associated with it. The strategy that the U.S. and our European allies have pursued since February 24th is to arm Ukraine to help them defend themselves against this unprovoked invasion, beefing up our military posture on the eastern flank of the alliance and try to hold the alliance together as best we can. I think that's been the right approach. We want to do everything we can to help Ukraine while avoiding direct combat between Russia and NATO, something that we were able to do during the whole length of the Cold War. This was a moment of tension, but I think it was well handled. Continuing to arm Ukraine will incur some risks, but I think the cost of not doing so would be greater.
Poland says it believes this missile was fired by Ukrainian air defences, but it says ultimately Russia still bears the responsibility because Ukraine wouldn't be using its air defences if it didn't need to. Is that a fair response from Poland?
I believe it's more than fair. We're looking at the largest invasion in Europe since World War II. It was unprovoked by Putin. It was a war of choice, an illicit war. So Russia bears culpability for this war, the initiation of war, and the way they've conducted it, as the G7 put out in a statement today, has been barbaric. I don't think that's a hyperbole to say that. And let's remember that when this sad incident happened, it was on Tuesday when roughly 90 missiles were raining down on Ukraine, including the capital, Kyiv, and Lviv in the far west, which is not far from the Polish border. So people can sit in the United States and Western Europe and criticize, but when you have 90 missiles raining down on you, mistakes happen, and I regret the loss of life, but we need to put blame where it ultimately resides, and that's where with Moscow and Vladimir Putin.